uSports Central back at it. Too much to cover, okay, because of all the delay, and we mentioned seating and selection going to be right here, a special uSports edition at 8 a.m. in the morning. Me and Charles will release 1A through 3A and 4A girls, and then Tuesday night, after the Cleveland High School District Championship game at Cleveland High School Live, we're going to release the boys 5A and girls 6A and boys 6A brackets that night. That's when the NMAA has allowed us to release it. We release it first, so make sure you come to us. Charles, now it's time to talk bracketology. 6A boys bracketology, and this weekend kind of changed their win in district, and this is how we have it listed out right now. The Hob Eagles is the 1 seed, and you see Atrisco there matched up. West Mesa still stays at 8 against Sandia. Volcano, then Oñate. Carlsbad, that 4 against Gadsden. Rio Rancho's a 3 right now. We'll explain to you why. Versus El Dorado, the 14. Valley, your Bulldogs at 7. And you see Cruces still stays at 10. We're going to explain why we believe this is where the NMAA is going to go. And then the Cleveland Storm, we'll talk to Marcus Williams about that in just a little bit, potentially playing against Rio Grande. That's what we got so far.
Yeah, and as you said, as you stated earlier, it's still going to change a little bit. You have some big matchups tonight where I think if Volcano wins, they pretty much lock up that 5, potentially. Maybe higher. Or if Rio Rancho wins, I can see Rio Rancho sitting there firmly at that 3, which will help out Valley, because I still think Valley is going to get that 5th seed if Rio Rancho wins. So a lot of things can change.
Let's talk about 1 through 8 real quick, Charles. And, of course, we have right now the Hob Eagles at number 1. Let me tell you why Hobbs is number 1. You take the 6 criteria from the NMAA. Head-to-head, they did not play Cleveland, so you can't take that into effect. They're both district champions, so that cancels that out. Hobbs has a better win percentage, so they win a point there. Cleveland has more district champion wins, so they win that. Hobbs has the max preps ranking, so they win that. So even if Cleveland wins the coaches poll, they tie 2-2. By NMAA rule, the tiebreaker then goes to max preps rankings, Hobbs. Hobbs is going to be the 1 seed.
Well, and I think it's a good tiebreaker. I've heard a few people say, oh, it's coming down to the max preps. But if you have a criteria, you have to have a tiebreaker, some type of method in place, and that's the method. It's the last thing. So you can win in all the other criteria and avoid that max preps ranking that is going to dictate where you're going to go. I spoke with Coach Smith last night, and he's still not convinced that he's going to get the number 1 seed. He was telling me, they're going to give us 2, man. I feel it in my bones. I'm getting 2. So, Coach Smith, I think you're going to get the number 1 seed,
let's move on. Let's go to that. Obviously, then gives Cleveland the number 2 seed. We at least think by the NMAA. And listen, what a fantastic season Cleveland has had. Not done, obviously. That's our guy right there, Marcus Williams on the inside. Such a beast. Look, I'm not saying this because he's here in-house, Charles. We've been saying it all year.
Yeah.
The key to success for Cleveland is get it inside to your man, Marcus Williams. It opens up the game for Ryan Jones and other guards to do this, to be successful. Cleveland's got to be successful that way.
Yeah, we've been saying it all year. You have a guy that's 6'4", good handles, great athleticism. Why are you making it where he just has to get an offensive rebound or every once in a while passes the ball inside for him to go up against a 5'11" post? Take advantage of his height and athleticism. And you're right, if they get him the ball, they get him more into the groove, I think they can make the game easier. They make it too hard sometimes.
You just saw Ryan Jones there with a couple of drives. Ryan Jones, when he's attacking the basket like that, very successful Cleveland. I think they've got a lot of potential to win the state tournament, obviously, because they only have 2 losses, but we've been saying it all year. Just the talent around them is good enough, Charles. Okay, so let's move forward now. The 3 seed we think right now will be Rio Rancho, and this is very difficult. They have a max preps ranking over Carlsbad. They're tied with Carlsbad ranking-wise, no head-to-head. They have more district wins than Carlsbad. Carlsbad is a district champion, so they have that. It'll depend on the coaches poll, Charles, but then that ties, and if it goes to a tie, it goes to max preps ranking, like we just mentioned. So this is why we believe Rio Rancho is above Carlsbad. And let me just step forward, too. And a lot of people from Volcano Vista say, hey, we've beat Rio Rancho twice this year. Are you kidding me?
That's
well,
fine.
they tied in district play. Volcano wins head-to-head. Max preps again goes to Rio Rancho. Better record goes to Rio Rancho. And Rio Rancho has more district champion wins. They are easily going to be over Volcano, even if they lose tonight in the semifinals. So Rio Rancho, right now, in our eyes, the 3 seed.
Yeah, and I think a lot of fans need to get out their feelings. Yes, you beat someone 2 times. You can beat them 3 times. But that's why you play an entire season of basketball. Their entire resume is better than Volcano Vista's. So if your entire resume is better than someone, you need to be rewarded for it. I'm sorry that you guys beat them 2 times and feel you should be the 3 seed, but I see Rio Rancho locking this up. They had a better season. And Carlsbad, to me, they have an argument that they could be a 3, but losing to Hobbs 3 times and not winning some of those key earlier games against like the West Mesas when they could have beat them, or having Volcano come into Carlsbad and beat them in that 24-23 game hurt them. So they're going to be sitting at that 4 seed, but I like Rio Rancho at the 3 right now.
There you go. So Rio Rancho going to be 3. Carlsbad then we have at the 4, and we just mentioned Volcano Vista. They thought maybe they have the ability to be over Rio Rancho. They're not. They're going to be at the 5. Now, Charles, you disagree with me. You think that Valley is going to be ahead of them. This one's tough to gauge. So if you look at Volcano and Valley, they tie in just about all the categories if you mix them up, and then it comes down to the coaches poll. Who is going to be ranked higher, Volcano Vista or Valley? That is who's going to get the 5 spot. Based on Richard Tripp and the NMOTSC's last coaches poll, I took Volcano Vista, but Valley is right there. Am I right?
Yeah, they're right there, but the difference with the poll you're talking about, this is the input of the coaches at the end of the tournament.
Sure,
so now,
it could
you
be
know,
different.
this is going to be like a political game. Every district is going to lobby for their teams to be the top team. So whoever can convince the selection and seeding committee who's going to be the 5 seed, that's where it's going to go. But I like Valley. Valley's strong. They really put it together in the second half of the season. It started off slow, but that's what you have when you have a younger team or inexperienced team. They got 2 big wins over Albuquerque High. The only blemish I can see so far is that blowout loss at home to Sandia, which people are still giving a lot of weight to. But Valley, they're in a good spot. They're not going to be lower than a 6 seed.
Osei Idiaki has maybe been that 3rd man that they've needed. Anthony Chavez, the freshman, stepped up. Christian Padilla has been big time. And Valley's been smooth. Now, this is interesting because they finished above Albuquerque High School, Albuquerque has to be seated below Valley by rule. So even though Albuquerque High has all of the resume to be a 3 seed, they have to be seated behind Valley. So then it's a no-brainer. At number 7, it is the Albuquerque High Bulldogs. And then, Charles, the biggest question is the next 3. As you see the Bulldogs, they've got pieces. Yannick Alunga, I think, is the X factor of this team. That 4th guard that could really take over. No one's still talking about Albuquerque High School.
They're a tough team to, I guess, jump on the bandwagon. They're not a big team. They're not very physical down low, but they fight hard. They have good shooters. They probably have one of the better shooting teams out here if you go through guard from like 1 to 4. And you're right. If Aluga could come on a little bit, I think he can give them a spark. But West Mesa, to me, it's not close. You think it's close. West Mesa is the 8 seed. I think they're clearly ahead of San Diego.
We're going to talk about what is 8, 9, and 10 here in just a minute. When you come back, we'll show you it's a cluster, and you'll understand in just a moment. Come on back, uSports Central.